South Carolina isn't just beautiful, it's haunted at its core. Behind the charm of its plantations, churches, and oak-lined streets lies a darker truth. Restless spirits that never left. Tonight, we'll step into the shadows of 15 places where the past still walks among the living. The Battery Carriage House Inn, Charleston. On Charleston's quiet South Battery Street stands a graceful antebellum mansion bathed in soft golden light. But after midnight, the glow turns uneasy. Guests at the Battery Carriage House Inn often whisper about what happens in dream. Dieses Stier and Eitro. It begins with a cold drift of air, the feeling that someone is standing right behind you, even when the door is locked. Then, out of the corner of your eye, a shape rises, a headless figure, its outline shimmering where a face should be. Some say he was a Confederate soldier decapitated by cannon fire, doomed to wander the room searching for the body he lost on the battlefield. Others believe he's a heartbroken lover who ended his life in despair. Whatever the truth, those who have seen him insist the air thickens, pressing on your chest until you can barely breathe. Down the hallway, room 10 hides a gentler haunting. The gentleman ghost, who appears at the foot of the bed, calmly watching as if guarding a secret. Guests who dared to speak to him describe a sorrow in his eyes. Before he fades into the dark wood paneling, the owners have blessed the rooms. Burned sage, even invited priests, yet the hauntings never cease. The inn's charm by day only deepens its mystery by night. If you ever find yourself in Charleston, you might walk past this beautiful house, unaware of the restless souls within. But if you're brave enough to stay the night, close the lights, listen carefully, and when the floorboards creak, though no one's there, ask yourself, would you dare open your eyes? Games. White Point Gardens, Charleston. Beneath the peaceful oak canopy of Charleston's White Point Gardens, the Atlantic breeze carries something colder than salt, the memory of execution. In the early 1700s, this serene park was no paradise, but a stage for death. Dozens of pirates, including members of Blackbeard's crew, were hanged here, their bodies left to rot in cages as a warning to others. Locals say the condemned never truly left. After sunset, when the lamps flicker along the seawall, people see shadows swaying from invisible ropes and hear the rhythmic creak of wood, the sound of gallows long vanished. Some witnesses report a man in tattered naval garb standing near the old cannons, his eyes black hollows reflecting the moonlight. When approached, he dissolves into mist, leaving only the faint scent of gunpowder. Others describe phantom footsteps following them down the promenade, matching their pace, stopping when they stop. Even the police have received calls about bodies hanging in the trees, only to find nothing there. White Point Gardens is beautiful by day, a postcard of Southern charm, but by night, it becomes something else entirely. And if you ever dare to walk alone past midnight, with the tide whispering against the stones, remember, not all who wander here are living. Three. Dock Street Theater, Charleston. In the heart of Charleston's French Quarter stands the Dock Street Theater Elegant, glowing, alive with applause, yet when the crowd leaves and the lights dim, the air changes, the laughter fades, replaced by whispers that seem to drift from the rafters. The theater was first built in 1736, burned, rebuilt, and reborn again. but something from its earliest days refused to leave. The most famous spirit is Nettie Dickerson, once a young woman desperate to be admired. She worked nearby, dreamed of performing on this stage, and legend says one stormy night she was struck by lightning on the balcony wearing her best red dress. Since then, guests and actors have seen her, glowing faintly in crimson light, staring down at the empty seats as if the show never ended. But she's not alone. Some hear the heavy boots of a man pacing behind the curtains said to be Junius Brutus Booth, the troubled actor and father of Lincoln's assassin, who performed here before his mind began to unravel. Backstage, mirrors crack without reason. Props fall when no one touches them, and the air grows icy just before a faint sob echoes through the hall. By daylight, Dock Street Theater is Charleston's cultural jewel. But when midnight comes, the stage belongs to the dead. So if you ever feel a cold breeze brush your neck during a performance, don't turn around too quickly. You might see Nettie smiling from the balcony, waiting for her final curtain call. Kitto, South Carolina State Hospital, Columbia. At first glance, the old South Carolina State Hospital looks like a relic of history. A grand brick structure standing silent beneath moss-draped trees. But to those who dare to step inside, it's not history that greets them. It's something still awake. Built in the 1820s as one of America's first psychiatric institutions, its halls once echoed with the cries of the forgotten men and women locked away under the name of treatment. Overcrowding, neglect, and unthinkable experiments turned this place from a sanctuary into a nightmare. And though the last patients left years ago, their agony seems stitched into the walls. Visitors and urban explorers speak of a low humming that vibrates through the floors, as if the building itself were breathing. Doors slam shut with no wind. Lights flicker even when power is cut. And a woman's faint singing floats down the corridor before vanishing in static silence. Some have seen shadows pacing near the window frames, hands pressed against the glass, their mouths open in a soundless scream. Others report a nurse in a white uniform, face pale as chalk, walking calmly into locked rooms that no longer exist on the blueprints. Local police refuse to patrol the grounds after midnight. Even daytime workers admit the chill never leaves. No matter the season, the hospital may have closed its doors, but something inside refuses to be forgotten. So if you ever pass Bull Street in Columbia and feel a sudden drop in temperature, don't look up at the windows, because someone might already be looking back. Phoebe, Oakwood Cemetery, Spartanburg. In the quiet heart of Spartanburg lies Oakwood Cemetery, a place so still it feels as if time itself refuses to move. Locals call it Hell's Gate, and those who have entered after dark say the name fits all too well. Under the glow of street lamps and the shifting mist, visitors report hearing laughter echoing through the trees. Children's laughter, high and distant, though no children live nearby. Some have seen pale lights hovering between the tombstones, drifting closer, flickering out just before they reach you. Cameras fail, batteries drain, and phones die as if something unseen is feeding on their energy. The deeper you walk, the colder it gets. Footsteps crunch behind you. But when you turn, nothing. Paranormal investigators say the cemetery's energy spikes near an old, unmarked section where soldiers from long-forgotten wars were buried together. They believe the spirits here are restless, confused, still searching for names and peace. Others claim Oakwood hides a darker secret, a black stone rumored to be a doorway to the other side, warm to the touch even on the coldest night. By daylight, it's a peaceful park of marble and moss, but when night falls, Oakwood breathes, the air thickens, the laughter returns, and the shadows stretch farther than they should. If you ever visit Spartanburg and think of taking a shortcut through the cemetery after midnight, don't. Some doors, once opened, never close again. Poinsett Bridge, Greenville County. Hidden deep in the woods of northern Greenville County stands Poinsett Bridge, the oldest surviving bridge in South Carolina. Built in 1820 from solid mountain stone, by day, it's a picturesque relic of early America. But when night falls, the forest grows eerily silent, and the archway beneath the bridge glows faintly in the dark, as if it remembers something no one should know. Locals whisper that a stonemason died during construction. Trapped within the bridge itself, his body sealed behind the granite, his spirit forever bound to the structure. Others tell of a young traveler who fell from his horse and broke his neck near the stream, now condemned to wander the bridge's curve, lantern in hand, forever seeking a road home. Visitors often describe the same sensations: sudden temperature drops, electronics malfunctioning, and the sound of footsteps crunching on gravel when no one else is there. Some see small orbs of blue light floating beneath the arch before darting into the woods. Paranormal investigators claim that when they record at midnight, they capture distant voices faint, pleading, sometimes humming an old hymn. Even skeptics admit there's something about Poinsett Bridge that defies logic. The air feels charged. The trees seem to lean closer, and every whisper of wind carries a warning. If you ever find yourself there after dark, standing alone on the ancient stones, don't linger too long. The bridge has been waiting 2 centuries for company, and it never lets anyone leave without saying goodbye. Seven. Rose Hill Plantation, Union. Nestled in the rolling hills of Union County, Rose Hill Plantation seems frozen in time, white columns gleaming beneath a canopy of oaks, the air thick with the scent of magnolia and memory. Once home to Governor William Henry Gist, the secession governor of South Carolina, this elegant estate holds more than political ghosts. At night, the echo of footsteps drifts down the empty halls, followed by the soft strains of piano music coming from the parlor. Though no one lives there now, visitors have reported the faint laughter of a woman near the grand staircase and the rustle of skirts brushing against the floorboards. Some even claim to see a pale figure in a long antebellum gown standing on the balcony, gazing into the dark woods as if waiting for someone who never returned. Rangers who patrol the grounds after closing refuse to linger long. They say the lights in the mansion flicker to life even when the power is off. Cold spots bloom in the summer air, and voices whisper just beyond the edge of hearing. Rose Hill is a place of beauty, pride, and silence, but if you stay past sundown, you might realize the past here never truly ended. The governor may have left his mark on history, yet the shadows he left behind still wander his home, unwilling to let go. Cheaper, Baynard Plantation, Hilton Head Island. Deep within the moss-draped oaks of Hilton Head Island lie the stone ruins of Baynard Plantation, a once grand estate built in the early 1800s. All that remains now are crumbling walls, scattered columns, and whispers carried by the sea breeze, whispers said to belong to William Baynard, the plantation's tragic master. Baynard was a respected landowner and businessman, but when he fell ill and died in 1849, the story of his funeral became legend. Locals swore that the night before his burial, a phantom procession wound through the trees, a ghostly carriage drawn by black horses, torches flickering in silence, mourners with hollow eyes following behind. When dawn came, the ground showed fresh hoof prints, yet no one had passed. To this day, island residents claim that each year around the anniversary of his death, the same spectral funeral replays itself along the old plantation road. Some hear the faint clatter of hooves and carriage wheels on gravel. Others see the outline of a man standing among the ruins, watching with quiet sadness before fading into the mist. The ruins themselves seem alive, shadows moving where light shouldn't reach, the air heavy with the scent of smoke and salt. Visitors who enter after sunset often describe a feeling of being observed, as though unseen eyes follow every step. And if you stand near the gate when the wind blows from the marsh, you might hear it the distant toll of a funeral bell, calling once more for William Baynard, whose final journey never truly ended. Hopsewee Plantation, Georgetown. South of Georgetown, overlooking the slow, dark waters of the Santee River, stands Hopsewee Plantation. Elegant, timeless, and deeply haunted. Built in the early 1700s, this stately home was the birthplace of Thomas Lynch Jr., one of the youngest men to sign the Declaration of Independence. But his story, and that of his family, ended in tragedy. His father, Thomas Lynch Sr., died of a stroke in 1776, the very year his son signed the document. Only 3 years later, Thomas Lynch Jr. vanished at sea, his ship swallowed by a storm. His body never found. 2 deaths, 2 generations in a house that seems to mourn them still. Visitors often speak of an uneasy stillness inside Hopsewee's wide halls. Footsteps echo when the house is empty, doors open on their own, and chandeliers sway as if brushed by invisible hands. Some guests have reported seeing 2 men dressed in rare colonial attire, tri-cornered hats, breeches, and waistcoats quietly walking across the veranda before disappearing into thin air. Others feel a strange pressure in the air, as though the walls themselves remember sorrow. Even seasoned tour guides confess that there are rooms they refuse to enter alone. Locals believe the spirits of father and son have returned, forever bound to the river that claimed them, one lost to illness, the other to the sea. And when the fog rolls in from the Santee at dusk, Hopsewee seems to awaken, whispering through its cypress-lined silence. If you listen closely, you might hear the faint echo of quills scratching parchment, or the sigh of a man who signed history itself and was never seen again. Poogan's Porch, Charleston. In the heart of Charleston's historic district, among cobblestone streets and wrought iron balconies, stands Poogan's Porch, a charming yellow house-turned restaurant. By day, it smells of biscuits and coffee. By night, it hums with whispers from another time. Built in the 1880s, it was once home to 2 sisters, Zoe and Elizabeth Saint, Amatzo, reclusive women who lived quietly behind its lace curtains. When Elizabeth died, Zoe's world collapsed. She wandered the house, calling her sister's name, until grief consumed her completely. Not long after, she too passed away. And that's when the hauntings began. Today, diners and staff often glimpse a tall, thin woman in a long black dress standing by the upstairs window. She appears lost, confused, staring out toward Queen Street as if waiting for someone who will never return. Guests have felt invisible, fingers brush their shoulders, or heard a woman's sob echo from the ladies' room even when it's empty. Cameras malfunction, silverware rattles, and the chandeliers flicker when her name is spoken aloud. Some say the loyal dog, Poogan, for whom the restaurant is named, still roams the porch, tail wagging in the moonlight, a guardian spirit comforting the restless soul within. Locals have grown used to her presence. She is not feared, only pitied. Yet if you visit after dark and the dining room falls silent, listen carefully between the creaks of the old floorboards. You might hear her whisper softly, "Elizabeth," a single word carried through time. Proof that love and loss can haunt a home far longer than life itself. Woodland, Salem Black River Church, Sumter County. Hidden deep within the pines of Sumter County stands the name Salem Black River Church. A lonely brick chapel built in 1846, its red walls faded, its cemetery blanketed by Spanish moss. By day, the church feels forgotten, a relic of faith weathered by centuries. But as dusk falls, the silence here becomes heavy, almost alive. Locals say this is not holy ground after midnight. It is a threshold between the living and the dead. Visitors who wander past the iron gate often describe the same chilling welcome. The air drops cold without wind, and the woods seem to close in. Some have seen a glowing blue light year weaving between the gravestones, while others swear they've heard the low murmur of hymns coming from the church, though its doors are locked tight. Inside, those brave enough to enter claim to hear the steady tread of boots on the wooden floor, as if a long-dead preacher still paces the aisle, preparing for a sermon that never ends. The graves themselves tell stories of fever, var, and sorrow, but one stands apart. An unnamed girl said to have died before her wedding day. Her spirit, dressed in white, is seen wandering near the front steps, her veil drifting as if stirred by invisible hands. Those who meet her gaze feel overwhelming grief before she fades into the mist. Few dare to stay long. Even skeptics admit that when the moonlight strikes the old bell tower, the shadow of a cross stretches across the cemetery, yet no light shines behind it. The church stands silent now, its hymns replaced by whispers, and if you listen closely, you might hear someone still praying, long after everyone else has gone. Oh. Cypress Gardens ruins, Monk's Corner. Just outside Monk's Corner lies Cypress Gardens, a breathtaking swamp where sunlight filters through cypress knees and still black waters mirror the sky. But when night falls, that mirror darkens and the garden's beauty turns to unease. Among the ruins that dot the ground's remnants of an old plantation and forgotten family crypts, something stirs beneath the moss and water lilies. Locals whisper that the land itself remembers tragedy, lovers lost in floods, enslaved workers who drowned in the bogs, and a young bride who vanished on her wedding day. The legend tells of a woman in a white gown seen gliding silently across the swamp just after midnight. Her reflection appears before she does, shimmering like a ghostly lantern on the water's surface. Some say she was once the daughter of the plantation's master, who threw herself into the swamp when her groom never returned from war. Others believe she's older than that, a spirit born from the land, guardian and prisoner at once. Fishermen who've stayed past closing time claim to hear faint singing echoing across the dark water, a mournful tune that makes the cypress trees tremble. Paranormal investigators have recorded whispers and footsteps on the narrow wooden walkways. Though no one else was there, even park rangers refuse to patrol the area near the ruins after midnight. The air grows thick, humid, and strangely electric, as if every insect and ripple has gone still in anticipation. And if you ever drift down those black waters on a moonlit night, remember that gentle splash behind you might not be from a fish. It could be her, reaching out from beneath the surface, longing for someone to follow her into the depths forever. "13. All Saints Church, Georgetown, Pawleys Island. Tucked behind the oaks of Pawleys Island, shrouded in Spanish moss and the hush of the coastal breeze, lies All Saints Church, one of South Carolina's most hauntingly beautiful cemeteries. Among its ancient tombs rests a grave that draws visitors from across the state, the simple stone of its Alice flag. Hers is a story of love, loss, and a restless spirit that will not sleep. In 1849, young Alice was a spirited girl from a wealthy family who fell in love with a man beneath her social standing. Her brother, Dr. Allard Flagg, forbade the relationship, sending her away to Charleston to forget him. But before she left, her lover gave her an engagement ring, which she hid on a ribbon around her neck. When Alice fell ill with yellow fever and returned home, her secret was discovered. Her brother tore the ring from her neck just before she died. She was buried behind the church, her stone marked only with the single word, Alice. Visitors say her spirit wanders still, dressed in white, searching for the ring that was stolen from her in death. If you circle her grave a certain number of times and whisper her name, some claim to feel a sudden tug on their jewelry or a sharp chill crawling up their arms. Others have seen her drifting through the churchyard at dusk, her veil glowing faintly in the moonlight, her face full of longing, even her brother's old home. The Hermitage in Murrells Inlet is said to echo with her presence, a soft cry on the stairs, a shadow gliding past the window. Those who visit All Saints Church speak of beauty and sorrow, intertwined, a place where faith and heartbreak meet beneath the same sky. But if you stand by Alice's grave and the wind begins to turn, be careful what you wish for. She's still searching, and she might mistake your hand for the one that took her ring. "14. USS Yorktown, Patriots Point, Charleston Harbor. Moored quietly at Patriots Point on the USS Yorktown looks like a proud monument to courage, a steel giant that once roared through the Pacific during World War II. But when the tourists leave and the harbor goes still, the ship feels alive again, humming with memories too heavy to rest. Nicknamed the Fighting Lady, Yorktown carried thousands of men through storms and battle. Some never made it home, and sailors say they never left. At night, footsteps echo through the hangar deck long after the last visitor departs. Crew members on overnight watch have reported hearing the clang of wrenches and the faint murmur of voices drifting from the engine room, as if the men below are still repairing damage from a battle that ended decades ago. Others have seen a figure in a World War II uniform, pale, calm, purposeful, walking the corridor near the sickbay. When approached, he vanishes, leaving only the smell of oil and salt. Paranormal teams have captured radio chatter on dead channels, the metallic click of Morse code, and sudden temperature drops so sharp their breath turned to fog. One former guide swore that while locking up late one evening, he heard a commanding voice bark. All hands on deck, echoing from the flight deck above. The Yorktown stands now as a museum, but to many, it is more than that. It's a vessel caught between two worlds, carrying the ghosts of her crew through eternity. And if you ever walk her silent decks at midnight, pause by the rail and look toward the harbor lights. You might just see faint shadows saluting from the bow, forever standing watch over the sea they once called home. "15. Admiral's House, Charleston Navy Yard. Perched on a quiet hill at the old Charleston Navy Yard stands the Tatirig Admiral's House, a stately white mansion framed by towering oaks and a haunting calm. Built in 1905, it once hosted high-ranking naval officers and foreign dignitaries, a symbol of authority and pride. But long after the Navy left, strange whispers began to echo through its corridors. Neighbors say that at night, the windows glow faintly blue, and figures pass by the curtains even though the house has been empty for decades. The most chilling stories tell of a little girl in a white bonnet who appears on the second floor balcony, looking down as if waiting for someone to come home. Others have seen a woman in a flowing dress wandering the garden, her face hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat. When approached, she fades, leaving behind the scent of lilacs and sea air. Maintenance crews report hearing piano music playing softly from the parlor. Though the instrument has been gone for years, one guard swears he heard laughter upstairs, followed by the slam of a door that no longer exists. That section of the hallway was sealed off long ago. Locals believe the haunting began during World War II, when a naval officer's wife and daughter perished in a mysterious fire while he was at sea. Since then, their spirits have never left the place they once called home. Today, the Admiral's house stands locked and guarded, its grandeur slowly crumbling. But on still nights, when the tide laps against the nearby docks, the echoes return, a faint melody, a child's giggle, and the rustle of silk across the floor. Step too close to the gate, and you might feel it, a soft hand brushing yours, reminding you that the family within still waits for someone who never came back. South Carolina's ghosts never truly rest, and these 15 places are just the beginning. From haunted plantations to restless spirits by the sea, each story hides another waiting in the dark. Where will we go next? Click next to follow the trail of America's most haunted legends, if you dare.